What's up, everybody? Another Friday means another RLCS X Winter Split Major. This time, the fourth and final one for February. We've got North America going down this weekend. Today's video, I'm going to be breaking down who's going to be the most likely to win, essentially a power ranking of sorts. But I'm not going to talk about all the extra teams that are like 6th to 10th. But again, going to be focusing in on our top 5 most likely to win the major, because at the end of the day, that's what power rankings are for, is who is the best and who is the most likely to win the upcoming event. What is up, everybody? Lawler here, your inside source for all things Rocket League. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, all that fun stuff. Links to everything I'm talking about, along with my social medias, in the description down below. And if you guys do have any questions, make sure you drop those down there in the comments as well. Before I get into my top 5, I am going to be bringing up the winter rankings and the overall rankings for North America. As of right now, there is some teams that are most definitely solidified towards the top. But as we get into like 4th to 6th, the points are actually a lot closer than they may seem. Right now, you've got Rogue, G2, and Peeps all within 250-ish points of each other, give or take. 1 point because Rogue recently got their victory in the Winter Regional 3. But if you look at all the results and everything, there is some teams that are kind of gunning for that position. But it does feel like, for the most part, our top 6 are pretty solidified based upon consistent results. The difficulty with this is kind of determining if a team is trending in a good direction or a bad direction, and if they can turn it around and what benefits there may be. So looking at the rankings in general, we've got NV, Energy, Space Station, Rogue, G2, Peeps, and then the only other teams realistically that I think have a chance of trying to make it in are probably Kansas City Pioneers, Alpine, and maybe Pittsburgh Knights if they have a really good result. Charlotte Phoenix, which was previously Loco, could possibly make a run as well. But to make top 6, you're trying to make up about 500-ish points, maybe 450-ish points, while also still outperforming the other teams by that much. So not an easy thing to do based upon the consistency that these other rosters have had. So it is starting to get more and more out of reach, and this major is going to tell us a lot about basically who is out of the running. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about our top 5 teams most likely. These are in no particular order about who I think is the most likely to win or not. But the team I want to talk about most at the beginning is actually going to be Space Station Gaming at my number 5 team, my 5th team, my 1st team. I'm talking about whatever you want me to detail it as. Space Station Gaming, for those that didn't watch my previous video, they are boot camping right now. Redo's got there 2 Sundays ago on the 14th and has been there for quite a while, while the rest of the team got to the team house in Florida just this past Sunday. So they're going to be boot camping all week based upon results and everything. It does look like things are going pretty well in the boot camp, communication-wise and everything else. But I think Space Station is a team that has the potential to actually win a back-to-back major. They did end up taking the fall split major. And even though their results haven't been amazing, they definitely haven't been bad. Winter Regional 1 was rough. That applied to them and a couple other teams like the Peeps and Kansas City Pioneers, where expectations of them trending in a really good direction, and then a long break, and things don't really bounce back to the way it was. Now that they're putting in more hours and practicing and boot camping and in a team house together, I do think Space Station has a really good chance of taking the whole thing. I do think that the last regional where they lost to Energy was actually a good thing for Energy as well, and we'll talk about them in a bit here, but I do still think that Space Station is super competitive, and them being in the team house does give them a big benefit, and I think it is a big reason why they did as well in the fall major as they have. I think any of the teams I'm going to be talking about today have potential to win the whole thing, and it is very, very close in NA, while Europe is just BDS wins. Just mentioned them, so let's talk about them. Let's talk about Energy as well, another team that I think is kind of struggling with some consistency. I do like that even if they get knocked down early, they've been able to battle it back. I think this team has too much talent to not perform in a top 4 spot. And that has been the case pretty much for their entire careers under the organization of Energy, even with all the mixing and matching of teams. Energy has always been kind of that team that for a long time everybody expected to win the whole thing, and then we got G2 coming in, and then we got Cloud9 stint for a while. So Energy to me has been synonymous with success in North America, and I don't think that's changing anytime soon. There was a lot of concerns initially at the beginning of this year with Squishy coming over, what it was going to mean, and now that the team has basically figured out what they want each person's role to be, it's just a matter of execution. I think they've been doing a pretty good job of it. I think them getting over their hurdles and getting a little bit of that motivation back, and just more of a mental blockade of saying like, yes, we can beat the teams that have normally had our number and make a pretty good run, I think is a really good thing for Energy. So It is exciting to see them be successful again and move back up in the overall rankings, just a bit ahead of Space Station currently. But you look at that top three, 2200, 2100, and 2050, and then obviously the odd numbers based on how many events they have won. Energy is the one with the least, only winning one event while the other guys have won 3 apiece, both Envy and Space Station. So obviously they get more of a nod, but I do think Energy has kind of settled into what they want to become. I think a lot of emphasis for me is primarily on Justin, who used to, in high pressure situations, try to do too much because he is so gifted, would try to make up for things. But because he's surrounded with a longtime friend in Squishy, as well as a good teammate and someone that he can rely on Garrett, I do think that Justin has evolved into a player that really has that spatial awareness. He's using his mechanics and his game sense and his game knowledge for good. He's still super speedy and really fast, but he's recognizing that, yes, he can put pressure on the ball without actually challenging. He can back off and half rotate. He can, do things that force the other team to make things happen, and that ends up setting up his teammates and still allows him to get in a good position to apply pressure. So I'm really enjoying what Energy is doing as a whole. I think fundamentally all 3 players are extremely talented. And Energy, this could be their run. That is if Space Station and their team house don't get in the way. Next up, we got to talk about G2, a team that has been breaking the hearts of many fans as of late. I do think G2 is still plenty talented. I hate all this conversation going on about Rizzo and how he should be let go and all this kind of stuff, when I personally think Rizzo is one of the most impactful players on offense in the world, let alone North America. His creativity and his efficiency when it comes to rotations, demos, bumps, and everything else he does, without him, G2 does not exist. So on this channel, we stand Rizzo. There is no reason whatsoever for people to be calling for Rizzo's head, because what he does for that team is unbelievable. On the other side of it, you do still have Chicago and JNaps, who both have plenty of pop-off potential. I used to be a little bit more harsh on Chicago and his shooting, but his recent performances have basically put that to bed. And I think it's credit to the guy in his efforts that he's been putting together. We don't even talk about his communication and what it brings to the team and how important he is to making that roster thrive. And JNaps is JNaps. I don't think he's ever really had a bad season. He may not be the knapsack in 1v3ing teams, but he's still super consistent and still is one of the most sought after players when it comes to his level of consistency and how easy he is to play with. G2 is a very solid team. They're a very good team, but at times they try to make too much happen and they can get punished for it. That is also credit to the teams they're going up against, like Envy and everybody else, that are known for very solid defense. I do think personally that G2 is a LAN team. They may not have the best results online. They may not win everything, but I do know if they can translate their playstyle right now to what they do at Worlds, if there is a Worlds, they will be absolutely lethal. And I think that's what it feels like G2 is trying to do. Is obviously they want to win all these setups and these matches, and they want to do really well in regionals, and there's no reason they're not trying to. Obviously they're putting in a lot of work and effort, but it just feels to me like this team and this playstyle is built for LAN. Once they get on LAN, all the questions and all the concerns that we have about how good players are at certain things, they're going to be built to play in a aggressive, all-in-your-face playstyle, which is almost impossible to stop at LAN if it is recreated. That is my personal take on it. I think that is the focus for G2. And yes, they may not have the greatest results, but as long as they make top 6, I think they will be a big threat at the World Championship if it does end up happening. So G2, I still think, is plenty capable of winning everything, but their play style to me feels like it's built for LAN and not necessarily for online. The hot commodity as of late is going to go to Rogue, who has officially moved technically into the top 4 in my personal power rankings. Rogue just came off a really big win at Winter Regional 3, where we finally got to see peak Rogue and what they were all about. The addition of Taroko has been really good, but the big focus for Rogue for me has been First Killer not being selfish. First Killer is obviously very ball chasey, very aggressive to the ball, one of the best mechanical players in the region. But when he uses those mechanics to set up his teammates, and you saw that all throughout Winter Regional 3, his capabilities to get to the ball first, create disruption, passes, bumps, whatever it is, to dish it to Turin Turo, so Turin can take shots and put shots away and be another threat, I think is what really makes Rogue lethal. It has been a few weeks since we've gotten to see this Rogue. It has been quite a bit of time off. Are they still staying motivated, even though they've had a bit of a break? That is my concern with Rogue. Can First Killer recognize that by using his skills to set up his teammates, can they continue to have this success? I want to know if Rogue can recreate the success that they've had despite a break and nobody really enforcing them but themselves to continue to grind. So a lot of eyes for me on Rogue in their opening matches to see how things go. Can they hit a hot streak again? And can they recreate it? Ultimately, Rogue has had a phenomenal winter split. I think They've outperformed G2 in every capacity and have proven themselves as a true number 4, number 3 seed right now. I am just ultimately hoping to see what ends up going on with their playstyle. We saw Peak Rogue. Can they recreate Peak Rogue and show that it's not just a peak and that it is their new base level? I'm looking forward to it because I know a lot of Rogue fans are really excited that they were able to finally close out a tournament. So Rogue looking really good, but it has been a bit of a break, and that is a bit of a concern for all of these teams for me right off the bat. Last but certainly not least, you have to give a shout to Envy. This to me is still your number 1 team in North America because this is a team that has not only a 4-time world championship, but you also have missed one of the best methodical players and midfield players in the world, in my opinion, as well as Atomic, who has just been feeling it lately. Envy to me is not only amazing defense, but also amazing pressure when they get things going. I have been able to cast events and watch this Envy team play firsthand, and there is something that they do about controlling the midfield and applying pressure that just looks so smooth. Rotations, the boost and it is only a matter of time that you crumble. And the chances that I've gotten to interview players on V1 during the grid broadcast, their only line of defense is hope. When I ask someone like Torment, I'm like, when you're under pressure, like you guys are literally sitting there for 2 minutes, shot after shot, no boost, what do you do? And he's like, I literally just hope that my teammate makes a good save or clears it or gets a good 50 and it goes the other way because there's nothing else you can really do. And when your only line of defense is hope, I think that is a clear equivalency to how good Envy is on both sides of the field. They're kind of my team that I will never count out. Their success throughout the fall and into the early winter was unbelievable. And yes, they may have lost a little bit earlier than expected. The teams they're going up against were quite good. So I do think Envy is a favorite for a lot of people, and rightfully so. But again, this is the motivation side of what have you guys been doing during this downtime? How are you practicing? Because there are teams like Space Station that are doing everything in their power to make sure that they have success. So I think that North American Major is going to be a battle. I think that no matter which way you look at it, that a lot of these teams are going to be super competitive. I think teams like the Peeps, version 1 even, and others can be quite the dark horse. But if I'm taking my top 5, people that I almost guarantee to see in the top 4, you guys have heard them, but you never know. Any given Sunday is the kind of name of the game with Rocket League, where if a team just starts feeling hot, maybe some of these early matches where the teams have to sit and wait with a bye and the teams before them, like we're talking version 1 versus Kansas City Pioneer, maybe they're feeling hot and they come in against a slow energy and they end up overtaking it in a best of 5. Best of 7, I give it to energy almost any day of the week, but you just really never know how some of this stuff can go. But that's the exciting part. So these matches, again, will be starting on Saturday and Sunday. Tomorrow, if you'd like more details, link to the bracket in the description. You can click the little info icon on the matches to tell you where they're going to be showcased. I can tell you almost all of the first round and second round matches will not be on the main broadcast because there are so many matches that have to go down. They will be on UGC and they'll be on the second and third broadcasts for the A and B streams. They'll be on the B and C streams early on. So if you like more details of that, make sure you check this down below. They did the same thing for Europe last week, so keep that in mind. That's going to wrap it up for this video. Questions, comments, concerns, as always, down below. Thumbs up, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.